Check 1 2. Check, 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 check. Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I am your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. And as you can imagine, we have a lot to talk about. And no, it is not about Justin Timberlake's DWI arrest. We have updates on yesterday's primary, though not really affecting many, if any of us, in the viewing area, but some with national and statewide implications. We're going to talk about that. We also have some local updates, quite a few local updates, and mostly, if I'm being honest, discussions on the presidential debate, wall-to-wall coverage next to Justin Timberlake on most outlets. We're going to talk about what the media talking heads have to say, and it is turning into an all-out attack on Trump already, as is the case with Trump, speculating what he's going to do, what he's going to say, and the outrageous attitude he'll have. It's pretty laughable. But as I mentioned, also some local issues and some statewide issues, so feel free to weigh in at any time, like this comment. We received this comment after yesterday's broadcast. Saw you read Ronnie Jackson's letter to request Biden had a drug test, as he must be taking enhancement drugs. I would like to see the same thing done to Trump, as his raging and rambling speeches at his rallies seem to point to some type of mental problems. We all would like younger candidates for president, but we don't have that this year. So we have to decide based on the two choices we have. I have seen Trump ever since he came down the escalator, and all I have seen of him is a terrible human being. I have to vote accordingly. So that is from a viewer. Thanks for watching. We try to read all comments here. Your thoughts on that. Let's talk about the primaries. George Latimer did oust Jamal Bowman. This is a big hit against the squad. Bowman, he had a lot of unforced errors. He, of course, pulled the fire alarm. We know all of his background. He said atrocious things about October 7th and then tried to walk those back when the polling did not look good for him. And let me tell you, this was not a surprise. The last poll I saw, he was down 17%. They had that rally in the Bronx. AOC attended. Not much of a turnout. That got very strange as well. A lot of cussing, very awkward across the board. Well, Bowman is ousted. As the New York Post puts it, head for the fire exit, Jamal. Westchester County Executive George Latimer sent Representative Jamal Bowman packing from Congress on Tuesday night, defeating the far-left squad member in the 16th District Democrat primary. Now, Latimer is now the heavy favorite against Republican Madeline Brame in the November 5th general election. This is just has bigger implications on kind of the radicalization with the squad, where some are saying, okay, enough is enough. And specifically with Bowman, what he said, some of the anti-Semitic statements, it was, some are calling it a referendum on Gaza and Israel. If you recall, Bowman belatedly apologized for denying the horrific rapes of Israeli women during the October 7th attack by Hamas. Over the weekend, Politico quoted Bowman as saying that Jews had segregated themselves from the rest of Westchester and had made a decision to do that for their own reason. South Bronx Representative Richie Torres said there's a word for this scapegoating, anti-Semitism. Yeah, there's a lot of various politicians that came out and endorsed Latimer. Bowman ends up blaming the loss not on his decision and his times in office, but on big money. There's too much money in the race. The rich and powerful sunk him, according to his, I guess you would call it his speech. When one supporter at the Grand Roosevelt Ballroom in Yonkers said, when the rich and powerful, sink so much money into it, it's not unexpected that they will win the race. It's just so unfair how much the money probably influenced it. Governor Andrew Cuomo, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, disgraced Governor Andrew Cuomo, showing yet again a sign that he may run for something. And we've had this discussion numerous times on this program. I understand that. But he's been reacting to this race with Bowman. Originally tweeting on, I believe this was on Election Day, Jamal Bowman should pull the fire alarm again because he is going to be smoked by Latimer today. The message is clear. Anti-Semitism in any and all forms will not be tolerated in New York. And you can't call yourself a progressive without making progress. So that's what former Governor Andrew Cuomo tweeted out in the morning. Then after the race, he said, congratulations, Latimer. Tonight, middle school children who pull fire alarms and do it while denying rape as a weapon of war lost, and progress won. You can't be a real progressive if you don't make progress. Now we can. And I'm not sure, that's twice he's used that line. I'm not sure if that's going to be, maybe you're familiar, maybe that's being used by a lot of people, but I wonder if that's the beginning of his campaign message. Yes, I know I'm going through this quick, but there's a lot to take in, and why not start with the breaking news? Nicole Malatakis, the GOP representative from Staten Island, said, bye-bye, Bowman. From his juvenile fire alarm antics to his vile anti-Semitism, to his profanity-laced tirades, to his support for open borders and defunding police, Jamal Bowman has been an embarrassment to his party, his district, and our state. Good riddance. this is, a lot of people are taking a victory lap, and rightfully so. Listen, the fire alarm was bad enough, but when you had the anti-Semitism, you had so many radical ideas. He was very childish, which was ironic because wasn't he a middle school principal? I know he's a principal. I believe it was in middle school. And that was one of the criticisms at the time when he pulled the fire alarm, that what would happen if it were one of his students. And, of course, he made some excuse after being caught red-handed. The New York Post editorial board puts it this way: 1 squad member down, 8 to go. Vulgar junior fire marshal Jamal Bowman lost his Democratic primary to George Latimer, bringing to an end one of the most embarrassing political tenures in New York history. We have a fly in here. Here is the first member of the squad. This fly is going to be the bane of my existence. He's the first member of the squad, the radical leftist caucus under AOC, to be shown the door. I guess this fly just wants to be on TV. Sorry. Live TV, folks. The liberal press is presenting this as a tragedy, a heartbreaker, wrote Michelle Goldberg in the New York Times, saying it will probably serve as a warning to other politicians about the cost of breaking with Washington's pro-Israel political consensus. That is how the left-wing media is presenting this. Again, New York Times, saying that this is a heartbreaker and that it will probably serve as a warning to other politicians about the cost of breaking with Washington's pro-Israel political consensus. If by consensus, the New York Post writes, you mean the rational majority who reject Bowman's belief that the rapes of Israelis by Hamas terrorists was propaganda, then yes, reason prevails. Bowman was always out of touch, an out-of-touch radical, but October 7th exposed him as a bitter anti-Semite. He called Israel's necessary military response genocide and said Jewish enclaves in the New York area were segregated. If only the cost of such beliefs leads to the ejection of Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, two even more radical members of the squad. Senator Bernie Sanders claimed that Bowman's primary, quote, was one of the most important elections in the modern history of this country. We hardly think the fortunes of one clown qualifies, but if Bowman's loss is a harbinger of things to come, then thank heavens for that. Also, AOC won her primary over former Wall Street banker Marty Dolan. This does not come as a surprise. There wasn't a lot of talk of her, or maybe I should say of Marty Dolan, having a chance in this. The primary contest spilled beyond the confines of the 14th Congressional District's Bronx and Queens boundaries, in large part because of AOC's national profile, and perhaps because of a conservative Texas group's shaky grasp on New York City geography. The Texas-based Job Creators Network put up billboards in Times Squares far from the district, blasting AOC and endorsing Dolan. Probably not too helpful. But they're starting to suggest that AOC is becoming too mainstream for the squad, for her progressive base. Now, this was maybe a little bit of a political statement before, or maybe trying to muddy the water a little bit, but before the election. New Yorker, known as AOC, is Biden campaign emissary to young minority voters. So AOC, according to Bloomberg, AOC is getting too mainstream for her progressive base. What do you think about that? The 34-year-old New York Democrat skyrocketed to national fame in the last half-decade for her ambitious, progressive, in-your-face brand of politics and disregard for party elders. Now she's serving as Joe Biden's emissary to disenchanted young and minority voters. 2 blocks the 81-year-old desperately needs to beat Trump and win re-election in November. In Washington, a city where influence and power are the most valuable currency, the member of Congress, widely known as AOC, is quickly amassing both, and she plans to capitalize on her newfound place inside the tent to further progressive goals. So there you go. Too mainstream. Too out of touch with the squad mindset. I think many would disagree with that. Claudia Tenney. Well, I don't want to run late. We're just going through some updates. This is not what we're going to talk about all morning long. Bowman was a big loss for the squad. As the New York Post put it, 1 down, 8 to go. AOC winning, not coming as a surprise. We do have some other, I'm not going to say surprises, just some updates for you. Maybe take a look at how the media tries to confuse voters before the primaries and before the elections. We'll talk about that as well. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Attention, this is an important message for firefighters, members of the military, and airport workers. For decades, first responders and firefighters at military bases and airports used a chemical-based foam to fight fires. Studies have shown that chemicals used to make aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, are highly toxic to humans and have been associated with several types of cancer. If you or someone you know was diagnosed with any of those cancers, call now for a free case review.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries. This is an important message for people on Medicare. Today we are talking about Medicare Advantage plans. If you're new to Medicare, moving or losing coverage, and don't have a Medicare Advantage Part C plan, call now because there may be a Medicare Part C plan with additional benefits available in your zip code. You can call now to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan with additional benefits. Just call 800-351-6177 and a licensed insurance agent can look up your eligibility and plan options and see if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Part C plan that could save money or include additional benefits. Don't wait. You are not automatically enrolled in a Part C plan with additional benefits. If you're new to Medicare, moving or losing coverage, call for your free, no-obligation Medicare benefits review. You won't know what plan options are available to you unless you call, so call now. The call is free. Call 800-351-6177. 800-351-6177.
We are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. We're giving you an update on some of the primary races yesterday. Claudia Tenney did win the lone contested House Republican primary in New York. New York has 26 congressional districts. That means 26 House Republican primaries, 25 of which were uncontested Tuesday night. The one that was contested, New York's 24th, was barely a contest at all. Claudia Tenney won the GOP nod in her Finger Lakes district, easily defeating attorney and businessman Mario Fratto, who was challenging Tenney from her right wing. Tenney's district is considered a safe Republican seat, making her the odds-on favorite to win a third consecutive term after previously representing New York's 22nd between the 2017 and 2019. And here's an update from friend of Frankly Speaking. If you recall, a few times on this program we interviewed Caleb Slater, who was in a Republican primary challenge. I never heard from his opponent, so that's why we didn't have both candidates on. We, especially in a primary situation, we'd like to have both, but Caleb Slater secured the Republican nomination in the race for the 48th Senate District, knocking off well-known Onondaga County community leader who had the backing of the county's GOP committee. Yes, this was kind of an underdog scenario, a little bit, I'm not going to say surprising, but I was maybe not expecting to see that headline this morning. With all districts counted, Slater got 53% of the vote versus Fannie Villarreal's 41%. Villarreal has conceded or has conceded the race, said her campaign manager, Will Dawson. The voters in the Senate District 48 have spoken, and good luck with that guy. And not the classist way to put that, is it? The voters in the Senate District 48 have spoken, and good luck with that guy. Slater could not be reached for comment on Tuesday night. Slater will now focus on challenging incumbent State Senator Rachel May, the Democrat Party incumbent for the heavily Democratic district. May will be seeking her fourth term in the fall election. So Caleb Slater, who was on this program, 27-year-old Caleb Slater, who was on this program, I think twice. Yeah, I don't think it was 3 times, but definitely twice early on in his campaign, real early on, like a year before. And then kind of recently, not too long ago. Here's one that, again, I don't want to keep saying surprises, but I have not followed this race closely. But what I kind of gleaned from the information that I was being told by the media and by news, Lauren Boebert had no chance whatsoever. Didn't you kind of feel that? Again, I didn't follow the race closely, but I remember she moved congressional districts, and everybody said how unpopular she was in the other district, and she's just so unpopular. Lauren Boebert soared to victory in the Colorado 4th Congressional District primary. Boebert received 42,741 votes, or 43.4% of the vote, while her opponent, Jerry Sonberg, who previously served in the Colorado Senate for the 1st District, received 14.2% of the vote. There ended up being 5 opponents, so I'm not going to go through everybody. Now, Boebert is currently in the 3rd District. Now she will be, she has to face the general, but she'll be running for the 4th Congressional District. She revealed that she would be running for re-election for Representative Ken Buck's seat representing the 4th District after he announced in March he would be resigning. She did not run in the special election to decide who would serve out the remainder of Buck's current term. It just interesting to me because I honestly thought it was an example of no way she was going to win. I mean, you've had the media going after her, and you've had all these little ins and outs that they keep bringing up. Oh, yeah, if you're just joining us, there's a fly in the studio. And it was good. It hides during commercial breaks, but then gets very active when we're live on the air. I'm not going to try to kill this fly live on the air. But yes, Boebert won her Colorado-New York primary district, emerged victorious. The 2-term Congresswoman defeated 5 GOP rivals. So that to me is an example of maybe the media, how, you know, when you see somebody, especially when you talk about Trump, and they'll point to some things where you realize that perhaps they just watch the evening news and they just get quick bits. That's what I kind of feel like happened here with Boebert. I thought it was a long shot chance that she was going to win, just from what little bit I saw in passing. So to have her soar to victory, pretty impressive. So there are your updates this morning. Just getting started on the program, but you have all the information you need already to go out and confidently tell people about the most important races. Well, I think the most important races. I know there's many others. You can find them for yourself, but those are kind of the big name wins. And I do think Bowman losing, though it was expected because his polling was so bad and he has become so radical and really an embarrassment to his district, but you still never know when you're dealing with the Bronx, you're dealing with heavy blue areas. You don't know what's going to happen because AOC cruised to victory, no problem. So Bowman really shooting himself in the foot after October 7th and the despicable things he said at that time. Yes, the fire alarm was very embarrassing, pulling the fire alarm, but that probably wouldn't have been enough to end his career because that had happened so long ago. But October 7th, that was a bridge too far for the voters of that district, and rightfully so. And Bowman is no longer going to be a member of Congress, or he will be until November. It'll be interesting to see how he reacts to things now, these next few months. When we come back, we've got a couple local issues we're going to breeze through. We are going to get to the presidential debate. We had such a great conversation yesterday and then really last week as well about the debate. Love to hear your opinion on it. So feel free to weigh in. You see the number on the bottom of the screen. Feel free to weigh in at any time. We've got to take another break. Stay with us.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's hot tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Put confident adventure and accomplishment firmly in your hands with the Polaris Sportsman lineup. Get the most out of every day. Pull off the toughest hauls and keep charging on.
Ithaca Recreation Sports, Route 13 in Newfield. Get outside and ride.
I'm Marian Burt. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
When it's the fun, it's what we do. See Night Ranger perform hits like Don't Tell Me You Love Me and more. Tickets are $20 and sales benefit the Southern Tier Veterans Support Group. Tioga Downs Casino Resort. Fun is what we do.
Experience the action, splashing, and excitement of the annual Watkins Glen Cardboard Boat Regatta from the comfort of your home this summer. Enjoy this local tradition and fun family event airing on Big Fox and My TV on the following dates and times. The Watkins Glen Cardboard Boat Regatta broadcast brought to you by these fine sponsors.
Welcome to Frankly Speaking, talking to the people that affect your life, that affect all of our day-to-day lives. This is something you're not going to get anywhere else. We've got a lot to offer. There'll be a lot of news, local, regional, national, really the things that affect you. And I think you'll be glad that you tuned in. So think of it as radio on TV. Frankly Speaking, live, 2 hours long, starting at 6 a.m. on WYDC TV Big Fox. This is... And we are back with Frankly Speaking. Thank you so much for joining us. Great news. I got the fly. Okay. If you're just tuning in, you have no idea what that means. Well, that's why you should have been tuned in since 6 a.m. Okay. Couple quick local updates. First of all, Congressman Nick Langworthy has announced $4.6 million in federal funding for water infrastructure in Watkins Glen, saying Watkins Glen is a vital part of our community, and the substantial investment in its water infrastructure is crucial for our future growth. Supporting economic development in rural areas will ensure that small businesses can continue to create jobs while also bolstering the quality of life for hardworking families. I will always fight to ensure that Watkins Glen gets a fair shake and the resources they need to succeed for generations to come. So thank you to Congressman Langworthy. Now, on Friday, when did I talk to Sheriff Allard? I think I talked to Sheriff Allard on Thursday last week, and we talked about really a project that has been a long time coming, and it's called Emily's Challenge, and it's to raise awareness of the dangers of driving while distracted, intoxicated, or under the influence. And he had mentioned how they had built a trailer, and the trailer is going to go around various locations, schools, prom, things like that, to show the dangers. And I want to just give you an update. This is from our friends at Steuben County. They sent us some photos. There is the trailer of Emily's Challenge. You have the meeting where they had the unveiling of the trailer. You had the sheriff giving his speech, and there's a tragic photo of the accident. So Sheriff Allard had mentioned this on Thursday, and that was Friday's, I guess you would say, unveiling. A graphic visual challenge was laid down to all youthful drivers in Steuben County at the County Public Safety Building, the culmination of a 5-year campaign to draw attention to the dangers of driving while distracted, drunk, or under the influence. A slight slip to the right or left, a swerve, a forceful stop, and lives are lost and families broken. Steuben County lost the futures of 5 energetic and talented young men and women within the course of 4 months back in 2019 due to reckless driving and intoxication. Emily Raleigh of Dansville died in late July of 2019 after she was ejected from a vehicle reportedly traveling under 35 miles per hour. Raleigh was surfing through the car's open sunroof and distracted the driver. According to a witness, she was a passenger. A 5-year crusade by Raleigh's mother, Steuben County Sheriff Dispatcher Kim Clark, and the county sheriff's office reached a new level when the educational trailer called Emily's Challenge was opened to public view on Friday. Clark said, "I miss her every day. She had choices. Everyone has choices. She made the wrong one." The trailer has been developed as an educational tool to demonstrate the dangers of distracted, impaired, or intoxicated driving and riding with an impaired or intoxicated driver. So I wanted to give you that update from Thursday's show. Okay, here's a question that I'm going to ask to you. Chris Churchill has a piece out, came out yesterday. And I'm going to ask you the same question before we get into presidential politics. Why is Kathy Hochul, so unpopular? The governor's poll numbers continue to sag, which may be another indication that New York's blue is getting a purple tinge. Now, there is some speculation, and I guess I am jaded through years of following it and having our hearts broken, that I don't believe New York will vote for a Republican for president. I think it's an uphill battle, a very, very uphill battle. I have not lost complete faith, but an uphill battle to switch the governor to a Republican. If Lee Zeldin couldn't do it, I have real concerns. We media types spend way too much time talking or writing about polls, but sometimes they truly are newsworthy, said Chris Churchill. Take, for example, the most recent Siena College Research Institute poll, the one showing Joe Biden with just an 8-point lead over Donald Trump in New York. And that is really, really fascinating, because if that's where Trump stands in New York, I don't think the media is reporting on what could be other states that could have a shocking poll or a shocking turnout for Trump. Because if it does stay that close, that is shocking. That is remarkable. That's worth noting, as it is another lower than ever approval rating for Governor Kathy Hochul. Both results suggest something significant is brewing. Is this a new New York? Asked Steve Greenberg. Is the state not as blue as it once was? Now, Steve Greenberg is a spokesman for the Siena poll. Do you think that is the case? Before you answer, Churchill says, consider that Hochul's favorability rating sits at a grim 38%. For a reference point, Andrew Cuomo's approval rating a month before he resigned was 45%, even as he was besieged by sexual harassment allegations, and this says here, and other controversies. Maybe don't downplay the nursing home scandal that by just calling it other controversies, but I'll continue. Hochul, meanwhile, has been scandal-free, and her policies generally poll well. For example, her recent push for a law restricting how social media companies target minors was favored by 70% of voters. And yet New Yorkers have seemed unwilling from the get-go to give Hochul credit or even the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, you jerk. I find it baffling that in a state like New York, never once has her favorability hit 50%, Greenberg said. Only 34% agree that Hochul cares about voters like them. Only 36% said she provides New York with decisive leadership. Hochul is, of course, New York's first female governor, and it is certainly possible the polling reflects some latent sexism. Wow, this article is a stretch. So, Hochul is not popular because you could be sexist. And you were never willing to give her the benefit of the doubt from the beginning. Okay. New York was notably late in electing its first woman to the job, roughly 3 decades behind Texas, Kansas, and New Jersey. On the other hand, Hillary Clinton won nearly 70% of New York's vote during her presidential campaign, suggesting that residents hardly oppose putting a woman in charge. Meanwhile, Hochul is nearly as unpopular with female voters as male. Yeah, but what did Hillary say about that? A woman has to be perfect for women to support her or something? Isn't that what she said? She ended up blaming female voters for her loss in the presidential race. On the other hand, the Siena poll consistently finds Hochul more popular among New York City voters. than they're elsewhere in the state. Okay. Yes, the 5 bureaus are significantly more liberal and favorable to Democrats, but still, the numbers don't seem to suggest rampant anti-Buffalo bigotry. So what gives? Let's acknowledge that few politicians are especially popular right now. New Yorkers, like many Americans, are just grouchy with the general direction of travel. That brings us back to the results showing Biden with just an 8-point lead in a state he carried by 23 points. If the results hold in November, it would be the closest presidential race in New York since Michael Dukakis beat George H.W. Bush by 4 points in 1988. As Greenberg noted, the problem for Democrats in New York is independents who are strongly backing the GOP and who are significantly concerned about crime, the economy, and the migrant crisis. In fact, a whopping 83% of respondents told Siena the recent influx of migrants into the state is a very serious or serious problem, which goes a long way to explain why Trump is doing so well. Notably, the Siena poll was taken after Trump's conviction, by the way, suggesting that even New Yorkers don't think much about that case. In fact, 65% believe our justice system is influenced by politics. Of course, a poll is a poll. The real count comes in November. All right. Why is Governor Hochul so unpopular? That question goes out to you. When we come back, we're going to talk about, well, we're going to run through a couple things very quickly because I want to get to the presidential debate, and I know we've covered a lot already. If you're just tuning in, Bowman did lose that primary to Latimer. That's a big loss for the squad. Who else should I mention? Boebert won her primary. AOC won hers. Kind of a mixed bag of people there that I'm mentioning. But that's kind of your quick update. So stay with us. We're going to take another short break. Just getting warmed up here on Frankly Speaking.
Was your premature baby fed a cow's milk baby formula such as Similac or Enfamil? If so, your child may be entitled to significant financial compensation. Evidence shows that cow's milk formulas increase the risk of NEC in premature babies, causing severe harm and even death. If your child was born premature and suffers from NEC, intestinal perforations, sepsis, cerebral palsy, or died as a result, you may have the right to sue for significant financial compensation. Call now for a free case review.
I'm Marian Burt. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
What's up, guys? What I'm about to show you is going to change the way you shave your head forever.
You can shave your head in 90 seconds or less.
With no cuts or nicks. It's 100% waterproof.
It even works in the shower.
Introducing Remington's Balder Boss. With increased flex and 5 dual-track floating head design, get over 60% more head coverage for a faster, closer shave and skin-close results.
No nicks, no scrapes. Fit in the palm of my hand, and the results were amazing.
Shave in the shower or with any foam or gel. With Japanese-grade steel blades, plow through the thickest of hair. Anytime, anywhere. There's even a pop-up trimmer to complete your perfect groom. Now, you can try the Remington Balder Boss in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. Complete with a 5-year limited warranty and 100% satisfaction guarantee. You can also get our ear, nose, and brow trimmer free. Just pay separate processing and handling.
Give it a try. You won't be disappointed.
Order your Balder Boss now.
You have to earn the right to be in this show. You got to earn it. I know pressure. I know how to handle it. How to get into the fight, try to win.
We're going to give it every single ounce that we have.
It's coming down just to the wire. We're all feeling it.
Hold on, it's going to fly.
Gone like a shot.
You got to bring it all.
This ain't just a racetrack.
The NHRA Summit Nationals, Sunday at 5 Eastern on.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. This is Frankly Speaking. Thank you to all the waves coming in. We got a comment from a viewer. I'm so glad to hear that comment from a Never Trump viewer. I don't happen to have the same opinion, but happy they are watching. Hope they tell all their friends to watch the show. That's a nice comment. If you are just joining us at the beginning of the program, I read a comment from yesterday's program, at the end of yesterday's program. And we always appreciate you reaching out to the show. I try to get to as many of the comments as we possibly can. Here's a good point by Josh Kramer before we get into the presidential debate. He says, answer us, Columbia and D.A. Bragg. Why drop charges for anti-Israel occupiers? We had Bragg refusing, claiming lack of evidence to pursue criminal consequences for 31 of the 46 protesters. And, I had it this morning. I must not have printed out. I see that CUNY administrators, or whatever you call them, faculty, just received a raise, I guess, ignoring their handling of these protests. And they raise a good point that this is showing Bragg not willing to protect and serve all communities fairly. And he finds a few questions. First, where is the security footage? That's the excuse they're using. At a time when smartphones, cameras are everywhere, it seems implausible that there was not ample video evidence to support charges against the trespassing protesters. The fact that prosecutors cited insufficient evidence due to a lack of footage raises significant doubts about the handling of this case. If there was footage, was it reviewed by Bragg's office? If not, why was such a crucial aspect of the investigation overlooked? If Columbia chose not to provide footage to Bragg, the private school may be attempting to sidestep further conflict with faculty and students. Meanwhile, Bragg's statement that Columbia is pursuing disciplinary actions contradicts the assertion that his office could not determine who was present in Hamilton Hall. That's a very, very good point. I don't think he's busy going after Trump. Second, did Bragg issue a subpoena? If Columbia didn't voluntarily provide security footage, Bragg should have taken the necessary legal steps to obtain it. That would be standard procedure. But if not, why not? And thirdly, what about the masks? Wearing masks while committing crime is not merely suspicious. It's illegal under New York state law. Many protesters wore masks during the takeover of Hamilton Hall, but Bragg has not explained why his office neglected this potential charge. Finally, Columbia called the police, so why stop now? When the demonstrators stormed Hamilton Hall, Columbia President Shafiq recognized that weeks of anti-Israel protests on campus had spiraled out of control and called NYPD. It was the right decision to do. Why not hold them criminally liable? Meaning the protesters. Columbia is facing serious accusations, including a pending lawsuit alleging it has failed to provide Jewish students with access to educational opportunities and an atmosphere free of discrimination. Given Columbia and Bragg's clear refusal to seek justice in the riot's aftermath, it is hard to see how that can happen. So there you go. Just a quick update on a topic I know we bring up a lot. Let's get to the presidential debate. Oh, one other thing. A couple other things. I have so many things to get to. I know we have a strong Second Amendment group here that watches, frankly speaking, and you're probably well aware of this by now. But U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy is warning the public about something new with a 39-page advisory on the public health impact of firearm violence, as they call it. Yes, the Surgeon General has declared gun violence a public health crisis. He calls on the nation to address it like it did motor vehicle safety and the health impact of tobacco. His recommendations to Congress, which comes as mass shootings have been on the rise. This is written in a pro-Murthy stance. Including he's looking for universal background checks and laws that ban automatic rifles, restrict gun use in public spaces, and regulate the gun industry. So that is a quick update reminding you all that elections have consequences. We do have to take another short break. How am I doing? I see some comments coming in. We'll try to read those comments after the break. There's so much here about the presidential debate, and most of it negative towards Trump, meaning they're either criticizing his tactics ahead of time. They're criticizing some of the things he's been saying. Also, they're trying to, as I've mentioned, downplay Joe Biden, set that bar so low for Joe Biden, who they just need to have an average performance to call it the best debate in history. So they're really rooting for that. We're going to tell you about that. And then before that, an exciting update on Hillary Clinton. But let's take that break. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now is the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselsen's Hot Tub. Hesselsen's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselsen's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselsen's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselsen's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselsen's.
If you or one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
Broadcasting live from the Hesselsen studio. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. As a reminder, tomorrow on the program, during the Steuben Senior Services Fund section of the program, we'll be talking with Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, getting updates on Albany. Hey, we just talked about Governor Hochul. We'll maybe get his take on that article, why Governor Hochul is so unpopular. But Assemblyman Phil Palmisano will be joining us in the 7 o'clock hour, so feel free to get your questions into me during the interview or ahead of time. If something pops in your head, you can text me or leave me a voicemail at any time. Here's a comment from a viewer. Do you think that the Democrats know that their policies, division of the races and sexes, elevating wokeism, and spending is starting to catch up with them? I think they do, and that is why they have opened the borders in an attempt to change the electorate with illegals that will be loyal to the party that let them in. Interesting take there, Ken. Thank you for the comment. I do think it is starting to catch up with them. I'm not sure if they've realized it yet. I know other people have said this, and it's not my thought, which is specifically young people. We see how young people are leaving the Biden administration in droves. And some of that can be because there's the radicalization through the education system that we've talked about, with the indoctrination into what can only be deemed as anti-Semitism. So there's those groups that are turning from him because he has this weak stance on Israel, and they think he should disavow Israel or whatever the case may be. But there's this other group, specifically they say male, but I'm not sure if that's 100% the case. I believe it would be all, especially young people, that are sick of being told that they're bad for being essentially who they are. That whatever, race they are, or whatever gender they are, somehow there's some woke policy that proves that person is bad. And they're saying that it's turning people off. It's turning them to accept less of this wokeism. So I think there's something there. I think people of all ages, though, are getting sick of that kind of lecture and the woke culture. And that could be why, like in New York, going back to that piece about Governor Hochul, why former President Trump is within 8 points of Joe Biden. Now, it is early, but that's still worth noting. That's nothing to sneeze at. It's actually still pretty shocking. I still haven't wrapped my head around it. Now, that is not the vote. It is a poll. But to even be within single digits is unheard of. But I had mentioned, and I promised, that I would give you this Hillary Clinton update, and you are in luck. Hillary Clinton has a new book out, and she is offering a warning to all of us American voters. Thank heavens she has the answers. She didn't necessarily in 2016. Now she does. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is set to offer a, quote, warning to all American voters in an upcoming book. This is according to a press release that was released yesterday. Quote, for the first time, she shares the story of her operation to evacuate Afghan women to safety in the harrowing final days of America's longest war, reads the press release. The book is coming out by Simon & Schuster, by the way. The book, Something Lost, Something Gained, Reflections on Life, Love, and Liberty. Quote, but we also meet the brave women, dissidents, defying dictators around the world, gain new personal insight about her old adversary, Vladimir Putin, and learn the best ways that worried parents can protect kids from toxic technology. We also hear her fervent and persuasive warning to all American voters. Wow, this book covers everything that you need. Clinton's book is set to be published September 17th. It is described as a, quote, testament to the idea that the personal is political and that the political is personal, providing a blueprint for what each of us can do to make our lives better. Now, Clinton's husband, former President Bill Clinton, also has a forthcoming book coming out in the fall on his 23-plus years since leaving the White House. I knew I had entered this new chapter of my life, that I'd keep score the way I always have. Are people better off when you quit than when you started? Do our children have a brighter future? Are we coming together instead of falling apart? He said in his statement. There you go. Just in time for Christmas. All right, let's get to the presidential debate. Your thoughts. I know the talking heads are in full force these last couple days, getting ready, getting in preparation of the debate. Will the presidential debate be a summer blockbuster? Is the question being asked. It's a good question. It is early. You've got people in summer mode, not necessarily wanting to think politics, but CNN's banking on it being a blockbuster. That's why they have commercial breaks in it, because CNN's struggling in ratings, struggling with money. So this is really an amazing opportunity for them. Another questionable outlet. I know a lot of people are questioning why former President Trump agreed to going on CNN. We brought to you yesterday, many others have shown you the bias from CNN of some of the things that they've said about Trump, specifically Jake Tapper, in the past. Well, if you recall back when it was Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, 84 million people watched the debate at the time, a record. This author says, I checked in with the Dreamland to see if it was planning a repeat showing when Trump and President Biden face off for their debate on Thursday. Interest has dwindled significantly since then. The primetime matchup on Thursday has the potential to seize the nation's attention, at least for its 90-minute duration. For the first time in decades, a single network, CNN, will oversee the debate, and it'll be simulcast on nearly every major channel, along with oodles of news sites. A poll this month showed that 65% of registered voters plan to watch all or most of the debate. It is interesting, if you see the commercials for various outlets, they have to say CNN. So you could be watching a different channel and it'll say the CNN debate here on whatever. So they're hoping for a big showing. CNN is at least needing that as a ratings boost, as a money boost. We will see whether or not it plays out. Right now they are presenting it like a heavyweight championship of the world. They're downplaying Biden. Many saying, Trump is going to destroy him. This setting the bar is troubling to me as well. We're going to talk about some of the opinion pieces out there saying that this is a gamble for Biden. Some saying it's a gamble for Trump. I still do think it's very interesting that Biden, the incumbent president, wanted these debates, number one, this early, but also calling for the debates. I think it's showing a sign of weakness, or at least showing that they are concerned about the polls. Now, the media is not presenting that way, but I don't think there's any other way to look at it than there was a concern at the time. And they also thought that Trump would say no to CNN, and Trump would say, no, we're not going to adhere to all your rules, so that they could come back and say, no, see, he's cowardly. He won't do it, just like he wouldn't debate the Republicans in the primary. That was my thought at first, but Trump called Biden's bluff and said, okay, I'll do what I said anytime, anywhere, any place, and all moderators are going to be biased against me anyway, so let's bring it on. Now there's anonymous people or past strategists that are saying that Donald Trump is scared. He's scared about this debate. Do you believe that? Do you believe that Donald Trump is concerned about this debate? Now, there is a lot of pressure in the sense that if Biden has that performance, that good performance, that the media will present it in such a way that Trump is done. Biden came in the clutch when he needed it most. A couple of different takes on this we're going to get to here in just a moment. But let's take our last break of this hour. Stay with us. This is, Frankly Speaking, here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Attention, if you were a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
Tending the you love is a lot easier when you share the heavy lifting. Team up with Polaris Ranger, your hardworking partner for backyards, the backwoods, farms, and ranches.
Ithaca Recreation Sports, Route 13 in Newfield. Get outside and ride.
Getting your video for a commercial used to be extremely expensive, but not anymore. WYDC TV Big Fox now offers the Twin Tiers amazing aerial video for your business. We do it with our state-of-the-art drone and commercially licensed aerial pilot. Beautiful HD aerial video and pictures custom-made for your commercial. Call or email now to advertise on Big Fox TV and let everyone see your business in a whole new way.
Alden and Missy face off in Book Smarts versus Street Smarts.
I'm not feeling so good. Biohazard! Biohazard!
Young Sheldon.
Weeknights at 6:30 on
And we are back with Frankly Speaking, wrapping up our number one. How quickly it goes. Thank you for joining us. A couple comments from viewers. The real hazard to health in America is when the government and Fauci con the world with their huge COVID scam and mandated draconian measures, all in the name of control. The world knows it is not mass shooting, but gang-related crime, which the government ignores. And that's in reference to the Surgeon General issuing that warning on guns, calling it a public health issue. Next comment. I think we all need CNN's phone number handy and call them out on their bias as they stack the deck against Trump. Is anybody, being serious, because I know we have people that disagree with some of the statements made on this program. That's fine. Does anybody really believe that it is going to be a fair debate? Meaning that there isn't an inherent bias already with CNN. When you see the things that Jake Tapper comparing Trump to Hitler and things like that, can Trump get a fair debate? I think most people, even if they hate Trump, would be able to admit that it's already the deck is stacked against Trump. Next comment. This viewer will not watch CNN on a TV that's connected to the internet. I don't want my contribution to build up CNN's ratings. And boy, CNN lucked out on this one. Kind of out of nowhere, getting the one of only two presidential debates, getting it early, having exclusivity. Now, it is being simulcast, but you've seen the ads. They have to say it's a CNN presidential debate. It's going to have the CNN logo on it the whole time. One important update, I think. A judge on Tuesday modified Donald Trump's gag order, freeing the former president to comment publicly about witnesses and jurors in the hush money criminal trial that led to his felony conviction, but keeping others connected to the case off limits, at least until he's sentenced July 11th. Judge Mercan's ruling, just days before Trump's debate with President Joe Biden, clears the presumptive Republican nominee to again go on the attack against his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, Stormy Daniels, and other witnesses. This is interesting, and Mercan doesn't do this that often, anything really, that seems reasonable. So I wonder if this is, by changing the gag order, hoping that Trump kind of goes off the rail on this case during the debate. just because it just seems out of place for McCann. Was this a political move by him, hoping to goad Trump into saying something in the debate, or knowing that perhaps Biden's going to bring it up or bring up certain aspects of it, giving Trump the opportunity to what they believe would be go off the rails? Because that's what they're trying to do, of course, get under his skin, get him to get angry, get him to be aggressive. So this may be McCann saying, wow, I wish we could keep the gag order going, but maybe it's in the best political interest of the Biden presidency to change that ruling. Trump's lawyers had urged McCann to lift the gag order completely, arguing that there was nothing to justify continued restriction, and there is nothing to justify continued restriction of Trump's First Amendment rights now that the trial has concluded. But Trump has said that the gag order has prevented him from defending himself while Cohen and Daniels continue to go after him. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office asked McCann to keep the gag order's ban on comments about jurors, court staffers, and the prosecution team in place at least until Trump is sentenced on July 11th. But said last week they would be okay with allowing Trump to comment about witnesses now that the trial is over. Why witnesses? Why just witnesses, I'm saying? I don't quite understand that. Again, something seems fishy about this. Right before the presidential debate. Doesn't seem like it was done maybe in good faith or to be a good guy. We have so much to talk about with the debate. We can maybe, at the very top of the hour, just go quickly through the primary updates. Yes, to this viewer's comment. I'm also very suspicious of the judge throwing a bone to Trump. Yeah, I would agree with you. A better suggestion would be to not bring that to the debate, but use the release of the gag order in his favor if he feels like defending himself beforehand. Agreed. If he wants to give a rally today, early tomorrow, whatever, I just hope this to me seems like McCann knew that Biden's going to bring this up. So does that give Trump more leeway to kind of go full scale, which they believe will be in his what would be disastrous for him? That's what they believe. I would say suspicious is the right word. But we are out of time for this hour. 1 hour left together. Where does the time go? Running just a little bit late. Please join us for hour number 2. Coming up next. After I hit this button. Which one of it? We'll be right back. That fly threw me off this morning.
Looks like y'all got a lot of stuff here in your water.
You're never gonna believe it, but this can filter up to 60 different contaminants from your water.
It's all about cleaner drinking water.
Dude, that's good water.
And that's good water.
Now that's good water.
That's good water, eh?
No matter where you live, there's a Culligan water expert nearby. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
If you've won regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
Hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. All right, if you are just joining us, Representative Lauren Boebert won her Colorado GOP primary in that new district. You also have AOC winning her primary. This is just some of the bigger name races. Claudia Tenney in New York, and New York's 24th, won her primary race. And the big news of the day, George Latimer did oust Representative Jamal Bowman Jamal Bowman, of course, a member of the squad, pulled the fire alarm, said very anti-Semitic things recently after October 7th and before, but specifically after October 7th. So he is out in New York's 16th district. And Caleb Slater, who was on this program a few times running for Senate here in New York State Senate, he did defeat his primary challenger, which was a little bit, well, he was kind of the underdog, so it was a big news story. All right, let's go into the presidential debate. Feel free to weigh in at any time. You see the number on the bottom of your screen. Okay, Michael Goodwin suggests that Biden's high-stake gamble risks everything. Now, this, again, is an example of setting the bar very low, because even if Biden does have a very bad performance, some are calling that Charlemagne, the host there, the radio host, he's suggesting that if Biden does have a bad performance, he should drop out. Others have said that. I don't see that being the scenario. As former Congressman Joe Semplinsky has said so many times on this program, the only person who can decide who's going to, if Joe Biden's going to run for president or not, is Joe Biden. And for whatever reason, his ego, his years in politics, not allowing him to do that. So I think the idea that he will drop out may be a little overhyped, even though I do believe Democrats may push that or try to get to him. But let me continue. It's good to be the king, as Mel Brooks put it in The History of the World, Part 1. It's also good to be the president, as Joe Biden is proving with his disappearing act. It is really wild, isn't it? What's it been, over a week of just complete debate preparation, shut off from the world at Camp David, just preparing for this first debate. With his job and legacy on the line, Biden seized the moment to take a week off to prepare for his debate with Donald Trump. He's fled the White House for the rustic retreat of Camp David, where scores of aides have built a mock TV studio so he can feel at home on CNN's Atlanta stage on Thursday night. Wow. He's said to be blowing off debate rust with lots of practice, getting plenty of sleep, and preparing both to pummel Trump and fight off the former president's attacks. Leftist press accounts of Biden's summer camp adventure stress the talent and experience of his team, all part of an effort to make it sound as if a brilliant brain trust gives the incumbent a huge advantage. Don't be fooled, says Michael Goodwin. The media are boosting their candidate because they hate Trump as much as Biden does. Well, and it goes back to what I've said. I don't believe any performance by Biden doesn't get him at least some kudos from the media. And I believe all he needs to do is have even a lackluster, but get through the debate without any major gaffes, and that will be considered the performance of his lifetime. It'll show how the brain trust worked. It will show that when he needed it most, he could come through. But I'll continue. NBC News, for example, embarrassed itself by insisting that the president is, quote, trying to hone a positive economic message that breaks through, even though many voters say they still don't feel the effects of his policies in their day-to-day life when it comes to the cost of basic groceries and gas. Subtext: these stupid people are so much better off under Biden than they realize, so he has to explain it to them. And that's exactly how NBC is putting it. And we've talked about it on this program a million times, never mind what you're experiencing when you go to get your groceries or go to get gas. You're just not smart enough to understand that, yes, your receipt might look a lot worse and it might break your heart when you see how much it costs, but the economy is actually really, really good, and you just don't get it. That's the media's sneaky way of calling Trump supporters deplorables and bitter clingers of God and guns. Some people never learn. Yes, we need Biden to tell us how good the economy is. Even though you're struggling to pay your bills, we need Obama to save us from ourselves. We've had so many examples and so many really quotes from kind of these smug people like we're hearing there from NBC News with as the New York Post puts it, Michael Goodwin, the kind of bitter clingers idea. If NBC were honest, it would know how inflation under Biden wrecked family budgets and that he has just a 41% approval for his handling of the economy against a staggering 58% disapproval, according to Real Clear Politics. The network might also add that with far more Americans saying they were stronger financially when Trump was president than they are under Biden, the incumbent can't go near the question Ronald Reagan made famous years ago. Quote, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Most Americans would answer no, heck no, which is why NBC will not touch it. Yeah, and it won't be. I doubt it will be a question CNN brings up. The answer would also be lopsided against Biden on questions about the southern border, foreign policy, and crime, all of which is relevant to the reason this debate is being held so early in the campaign. The timing is a sign of Biden's desperation and could mark his last stand. He's unpopular and semi-reclusive failure who hasn't aged well, to put it kindly. The overwhelming majority of voters already think he's too old to get a second term and want him off the stage. This is coming from Michael Goodwin. With polls trending in Trump's favor, especially in most battleground states, and with some blue states suddenly in play, so many Democrats are demanding a fresh face or pledging to stay home that the president was forced to do something to try to shake up the race and prove he's still viable. Yes, I mean, that's what we talked about, kind of the pathetic nature, if you will, of the incumbent president calling for these debates and doing it so early, trying to get momentum, trying to get his campaign back on track. And so after being dodgy about whether he would debate Trump at all, Biden suddenly demands a showdown to head off the possibility that his party would become so dispirited that Republicans would sweep Congress as well as the White House. It's a high-stakes gamble, and if the president bombs in prime time, it's possible he will never formally get the nomination at the August convention. Realistically, the only way that can happen is if he agrees to step aside, but a bad performance Thursday could leave him a very, very lonely man. Perhaps, again, I appreciate what Michael Goodwin's saying here. I do think this is one of those very prime examples of setting the bar low, saying, boy, he could be out. He could be done completely. This is no Watergate, but a debate debacle could prompt a visit from party elders telling Biden he should retire at the end of his term. That would echo the day a GOP delegation visited Richard Nixon in the White House 50 summers ago and told him he would be impeached and convicted if he didn't resign. That's how bad things are for Biden and the party. So don't be fooled by the rosy reports of his confidence and his debate prep. But again, I think, and this is not, I like Michael Goodwin a lot. I think this is being a little naive to think that the media will not go in full defense mode after the debate, that it will be a great performance. I think you're ignoring that real probability, and I think undoubted probability that is what will happen. So even if it doesn't help Biden, because the American people see it with their eyes, the media will try to push the same message over and over to see if people believe it. But I'm going to continue with what Michael Goodwin had to say. An example, the party's free media wing amplifying a $50 million Biden campaign ad buy targeting Trump in battleground states through June. After that, it depends. His shaky hold on the party is putting enormous pressure on the president. And a mediocre performance won't be good enough. He has to score a clear victory over Trump. That's why viewers should expect a mudslide of negatives against the challenger. With no success of his own to run on, Biden must demolish Trump's character. And in doing so, hoping to get under Trump's skin so Trump becomes more of a rally, a Trump rally, a MAGA rally type Trump than a debate type Trump. Count on repeated references to January 6th, the 34 felony guilty verdicts against Trump in the dirty Manhattan trial, and dire warnings about MAGA man wanting revenge. Yes, it's going to be all of those, of course, abortion, attacks on the Supreme Court. The writing is on the wall here. So you've got January 6th, you'll have abortion. One aim of Biden's onslaught will be to get Trump angry and throw him off his game. Biden would love nothing more than getting Trump to lose his cool in front of what is certainly to be a huge national audience. The flip side of these calculations is that Trump has a lower bar to clear. He doesn't have to actually win the debate to remain on top. All he has to do is to be sure not to lose it. If he can pull that off and make direct appeals to the roughly 10 to 15% of voters who are undecided or open to persuasion, Trump will be taking a giant leap forward towards a fall victory. On the other hand, if Trump gets rattled and throws out red meat that appeals only to his base, he would be giving Biden a reprieve and an opportunity to take back the momentum. And I think that's really all it takes. You have Trump, if he does treat it like a MAGA rally, all of a sudden you have the media saying Biden won. Oh, the polls are shifting. You can see the writing on the wall before it even happens. Biden's got his momentum back because it's the same exact thing they did during the State of the Union. And if you remember on this program, I had said before the State of the Union, they're going to say it's one of Biden's best performances of his life. And sure enough, that's exactly what they said. But continuing. Trump also faces another challenge in that he must contend with the two CNN moderators who are guaranteed to discard any pretense of fairness. Dana Bash and Jake Tapper have been seized with Trump derangement syndrome for years, with Tapper likening Trump's language to Hitler's. Nothing says fairness like accusations of Nazi, Nazi, Nazi. From the get-go, CNN has boosted the White House's disgraceful attempt to use the courts against Trump so Biden can win a second term. I would be shocked, says Michael Goodwin, if the Bash Tapper questions don't reflect that bias. I think they'll throw one in there. They maybe two, where you say, oh, that was actually kind of fair, or oh, that seems like a little bit of a tough one for Biden. I don't think it'll get much past that. Indeed, the network is so one-sided that on a rare occasion when one of its cavalcade of analysts has criticized the Department of Justice or a judge for being unfair to Trump, it's created headlines elsewhere because it's unusual enough to fit the classic definition of news, man bites dog. Yes, that is how shocking it is when CNN, and how many times, I have articles today too, but you've seen me on this program bring up the articles with the bias from CNN, and it's presented in a way that they believe, because of their bubble, that they're fair. So in this scenario, it's so shocking when they do question a judge or do question something that's being done to Trump, it makes news. Don't expect any news of that sort, though, on Thursday. The moderators will be in the tank for Biden. Let's take our first break of hour number 2. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
I'm Marianne Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me, to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
Make this the summer sales event until the end of June, only at Blaze Alexander, Chrysler Dodge Jeep, and Ram Truck of Mansfield. Celebrate with up to $15,000 off MSRP on a new Jeep Gladiator. Or finance a new Jeep Grand Cherokee at 3.9% interest for 36 months. The summer savings don't stop there. We're also offering 20% over KBB on your trade-in until June 30th. Shop 24/7 at BlazeAlexanderCDJR.com or stop at shop to save some green off Route 15 in Mansfield, where we're taking the deals the other guys won't.
The world's pizza has been baked in ovens made of stone, but you can't put one of those on the countertop in your home. Introducing Paisano, the authentic pizza oven by Granite Stone. Now make the world's most delicious pizza with real stone right in your own home. You simply set it and let it make golden, crispy, extra cheesy stone-baked pies in under 6 minutes. The secret is the dual-controlled heat zones that quickly heat the real ceramic stone up to 800 degrees so you can stone bake just like the pros. Plus, there's no gas, wood, or charcoal needed. Paisano is electric, plug-in, and portable. You can get your Paisano pizza oven for just 4 easy payments of $39.99. And we're going to drop one payment. You get it all for just 3 easy payments of $39.99. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free.
Call 1-800-597-7208 or order online at buypaisano.com. Call now.
Name something with a diamond in it.
Diamondback rattlesnake.
It's in the name. Name a low-calorie food you might make your edible underwear out of.
Salmon.
Watch it weeknights. Share it the next day.
Wild caught Norwegian teriyaki.
Sharing the fun. Weeknights on Family Feud.
7 and 7:30 on Big.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I am your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street Recording. We're talking about the presidential debate. Would love to hear your comments. There's a couple, some very great comments. Some of them I may not read, but very, very good comments. Keep them coming in. All right, here's a couple of them. First up, Frank. I think the DNC and one of its operatives, CNN, knew that Trump would have no choice but to accept. The format, rules, and venues were meant to be so onerous that they would have plenty of opportunities to make Trump look bad. I also think that the early date was established to show Biden that he needs to take the deal they are presenting to him, to gracefully bow out of the race just before the convention so they can install their already in the wings candidate, probably Gavin Newsom. A couple things to dissect there. Well, I think Trump did, in a way, paint himself into a corner by saying anytime, anywhere, any place. Biden, I believe, Biden's people put out those rules to obviously make Trump look bad, thinking that he would turn it down. He did not turn it because they wanted to be able to say he was a coward and scared to do, because then they get the win without even having to do the debate. So he had to call their bluff. That's still my thought, and you've heard me say in the past, when it comes to doing it early, I think it was done to have the media push the idea that he's got the momentum back after this debate, that now Biden's got the momentum back. I think that's their theory, whether or not that happens or not. But I have been, from the beginning, always in the back of my mind, Gavin Newsom or someone else stepping in. I just think the problem is that sets the bar so low that if he doesn't back out, is that a win? You know, if Biden doesn't say, okay, I'm done, that was a win. I don't think, I just don't see that. But crazier things have happened. Next up, from a different viewer, I hope Trump uses tactics criticizing Biden indirectly like Reagan was able to do, showing respect for the office while using indirect quips about his inability to govern. Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see how Trump handles calling Biden out for some of the kind of mental slips, if you will. Because if he pushes that too hard, can it get sympathy for Biden so he ends up winning? Going back to Herr's report, right? They didn't want to put him on trial because they thought the jurors would just have sympathy for the grandpa figure there. Could that happen if Trump goes after some of what are perceived to be these health issues? That's something else that Trump has to keep in mind. And I know the media keeps pushing, and I don't know how much I believe it, but that Biden's got this brain trust like that's been mentioned, and that he's been working nonstop, catching up on rest, which it's interesting that that's considered a positive for a president, but catching up on rest, all that, but where Trump's just ready to shoot from the hip. He can do it at any time, anywhere. I don't know. That plays kind of a narrative too, but I do like that Trump says he's been preparing his whole life for it. I do kind of like that line. And it's been said here by Fox News, but the Biden's debate prep is focusing on ways to, and to use the left's term, trigger Trump. That's it. You know that they want to get him rattled, they want to get him angry, and if he is super mean, I mean, I think he can be mean to an extent, but if he's super mean to Biden, getting that sympathy for Biden. An old movie theater and airplane hangar have been outfitted as a mock debate stage where Biden, despite having varying hours and a non-rigid schedule, is preparing to go on the offensive against Trump on issues like immigration and abortion, as well as push back on claims, appearing to be supported by various videos, that he is confused and frail. It will be hard for them to address that. I don't see Biden going out of his way to address that frail and confused look, but they have to overcome it, and that's why they're hoping to do this debate prep, because hoping to do it so much it's almost like muscle memory when Biden gets in there. And I think that's why they are practicing so much. So if you do see a little quip or you see something that looks like he was ready for one of Trump's claims, that's all been practiced to death already. I'm not going to go through who all of his helpers are on this. But 3 sources familiar with the debate prep told NBC News that Biden advisors are studying the former president's recent comments to see what topics might get under his skin most, all in an effort to throw off what appears to be a more disciplined Trump as of late. One source told the outlet the goal is to get Rally Trump to come out. Oh, I mentioned that earlier. With another specifically pointing to Biden possibly attacking the former president's 2020 election loss and subsequent actions that led to January 6th by calling him a loser. I think one of the problems, and you may disagree with me on this, and I would love to hear your comments. I think if Biden plays Trump into to just talking about how the election was stolen, I don't think that's in Trump's favor, because Trump has been talking about it for nearly 4 years now in his emails and interviews. If it comes in passing, that's one thing. But if they can keep that topic over and over again, I don't think it helps. They're going to throw January 6th nonstop. We know that. But if he continues to talk about that, I think a lot of people will just get kind of bored with it in a way. But your thoughts on that? One Biden campaign official told the outlet the president has to walk a fine line because he wants to be seen as the adult in the room. The official also said Biden didn't need to goad Trump into anything because the two men's contrasting vision for the country would be clear enough without that. They're going to try. We know that. So that's what they're aiming for, to trigger Trump. We got to take a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's Hot Tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
If you are one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
What could whiten your teeth by simply brushing your teeth? Now you can with Smile Actives, the teeth whitening breakthrough that safely gets your teeth white and keeps them white every day just by brushing your teeth. Simply add Smile Actives to any toothpaste and our patented PolyClean technology activates into a powerful microfoam that penetrates into the enamel surface to safely lift and remove stains.
You need a simple way to whiten your teeth. Without strips, without trays, without going to the dentist.
I eat the blueberries, I drink the coffee, and I know that Smile Actives will keep my teeth white every day.
Now you can whiten your teeth with new Smile Actives Pro Whitening Gel every time you brush your teeth. Call or go to smileactives.com and for a limited time get new Pro Whitening Gel for just $24.95. Order in the next 5 minutes and buy one, get one absolutely free. We'll even include free shipping. Call or click now before the special buy one, get one free offer goes away.
Broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you for joining us. Yes, we're talking presidential debate. Coming up on Thursday. Love to hear your opinion. Are you excited for it? Are you meh? I mean, I know some people get really built up and really excited about presidential debates. Some kind of tune in if they can. But the thoughts are Biden is definitely going to try to push Trump into almost going into, as we said earlier, rally mode, Trump rally mode. But RFK Jr., I'm not sure if you saw this. He was on, where was this at? Piers Morgan Uncensored. He ripped into the debate moderators for cheerleading COVID lockdowns before then praising President Donald Trump as, quote, the greatest debater in modern American history. Kennedy predicted that neither Bash nor Tapper would ask tough questions of either president due to their support for both administrations' pandemic-era policies. On some of the biggest, most monumental decisions during their presidencies, like the lockdowns of the American public, the CNN announcers were cheerleading for those lockdowns. I don't think they're going to take it easy on Trump. I'm sorry. He may have had me, and Trump's the greatest debater of all time, but I don't know about. I don't know if I agree with that. Jake Tapper was cheerleading for that. So, do you think he's going to ask them any of the tough questions? Morgan interrupted and said, "You know what? I actually do. I think Jake's a great journalist. I've worked with him for CNN. I think Dana Bash is too. I think that, yeah, of course they can. I think they'll actually do a good job." Asked later who he thought would win, Kennedy said, "I don't like to make predictions, but I would predict that Trump will win." Again, everybody setting the bar low. I think Donald Trump is good. He could win a prize for the greatest debater in modern American history, probably since Lincoln Douglas. Wow. That's interesting to not bring up his uncle and Nixon. Anyway, I'm saying that based upon watching him run through 16 Republicans one at a time in 2016 and just demolish them. He's extremely entertaining to watch. He has an ability to make up facts and then believe them absolutely and to sell them to the crowd. He's a brilliant entertainer and nothing phases him. I don't think it's possible for President Biden to beat him in that debate. Morgan then asked RFK Jr. whether, in the event of a train wreck debate, it would be likely that Biden would be removed. He said, "I think that's possible. The convention would be the place to do it." I don't know. Again, the fact that the media is bringing this up so much concerns me. That, again, this is a way to set the bar low. But they have the superdelegates who are in line, basically, and they're the ones who would choose the next nominee. So I think, they would probably, some of them would welcome that chance. Now, Kennedy said earlier that nobody should be attending the debate under the criteria that CNN established and claimed that the cable network colluded with Trump and Biden to exclude the Presidential Debate Commission from running the event. Since my uncle's premier debate with Nixon, this has never happened. And the worrying thing is that the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee are putting tens of millions of dollars into CNN, so there's a conflict there. So they have, asked whether he would take a job in either administration. Kennedy told Morgan later that "I intend to win the race. I'm not looking for a job in government." So anyway, greatest debater of all time. So let me look here. How am I doing on time? Sorry, I got so many comments coming in. I wish I could read them live, but we'll read them when we come back from break. They're criticizing Trump and the media. What else is new? Bringing up drugs, undermining the debate. These are old Trump tactics. To spend time on former President Donald J. Trump's corner of social media is to witness any number of contradictory, unproven, or outright conspiratorial ideas blooming all at once. The approaching presidential debate has apparently sent him into overdrive. They're highlighting, and Drudge was highlighting this as well, that Trump at one point said that Biden's the worst debater of all time. Now he's saying that he's a worthy debater, showing that Trump, I guess, is scared. Donald Trump is so scared of being held accountable for his toxic agenda of attacking reproductive freedom and cutting Social Security that he and his allies are resorting to desperate, obviously false lies, Lauryn Hill said, who's a spokeswoman for Biden's campaign. When asked why Mr. Trump would agree to a debate if he had long-standing concerns, Trump's campaign spokesperson said that the former president was keeping a promise to Americans. President Trump delivers on his promises, and he promised the American people he would debate Joe. Anytime, anywhere, any place. President Trump will be on the debate stage on Thursday. And of course, he has been bringing up the fact, and this is so corny. So Trump has been saying, I want you to take a drug test, Joe Biden, and I'll take one. Because they're suggesting that, someone was saying Adderall or some type of drug that will, some have speculated may have been used during the State of the Union. I'm not. I'm just saying that's where this story comes from. So Democrat strategist James Carville, the Raging Cajun, he's been out there a lot lately. I guess this is funny. I don't think this is funny. I think it's a really kind of a low-hanging fruit kind of joke. But he said, I think from what I've read about this debate prep, it is thorough. What I know about the people briefing him is that they're very knowledgeable, meaning Biden, and that they're very experienced. I think he's going to be very prepared. He has to wait for Trump. Trump is going to start where you take a drug test, and he should say, yeah, only if you take a rabies test. So that's going to be the big talking point the next day, is if they listen to James Carville with these jokes. So if you want me to take a drug test, you should take a rabies test. And Trump is going to do something. I'm going to introduce a new phrase into the vocabulary here. This gets confusing. And just understand that he's going to be talking about stuff he doesn't know. He's going to try to talk his way out of jams. He's going to blabber on and say nothing. Just be ready for that. You don't need to respond to it. Trump agreed to all these rules. Now he'll come in and say it's all stacked against me, and there's rules you agreed to. I can't believe he's doing this, but he is, and that's the big thing. So even Carville saying he can't believe he's doing that, does that mean going to a biased network with all these rules that are in Biden's favor? That's a question we all have, but just because he agreed to them, it doesn't mean he doesn't have a right to highlight what will be done in this scenario. I'm going to take a short break because I see we have quite a few comments coming in. I want to get to those in just a moment. Don't forget, on the program tomorrow, get your questions in. Assemblyman Phil Palmisano will be our guest during the Steuben Senior Services Fund interview section of our program. So again, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano tomorrow to talk about the end of session, talk about what's happening in Albany. Plenty of questions. I'm sure you have plenty of concerns. Get those questions to me ahead of time if you'd like, or I will try to do my best. It's sometimes difficult with a live interview, but I'll try to do my best to read your questions live on the air with Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. Man, the street's so busy today. I'm getting distracted. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Wow. You found it.
I did.
The History of Water Part 6? I've been dying to read this.
I know, honey.
I always wanted that book.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install one of our high-efficiency water softeners, we're thinking about hard water and limescale buildup, so you can just think about longer-lasting appliances and softer skin and hair. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, please listen closely. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. It's a rate lock for your life insurance that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. Many policies you see don't have one, but you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. This plan was designed for people on a fixed income with coverage options that start at $9.95 a month. That's less than 35 cents a day. Your rate is locked in for life. Coverage can never be canceled, and your acceptance is guaranteed. You cannot be turned down because of your health. See for yourself. Call for an information kit and gift. Both are free with no obligation.
Call 1-800-781-9990 for your free information and your free gift. That's 1-800-781-9990. 1-800-781-9990.
And we are back, frankly speaking, here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go through a few comments here. Maybe instead of drugs, they'll have electrolytes hooked up to him somewhere. Electrodes hooked up to him somewhere. Either way, healthy. Next comment from a viewer. Trump now a ground soldier in the battle alone to save liberty. Next comment. Best example of how the debate is going to go. Was watching a CNN anchor end the interview with the Trump surrogate because she was speaking in behalf of Trump. According to the CNN anchor, the moderators are off the table to be held accountable for statements they've made about Trump. When they don't like what they hear, they will try to end whatever Trump is saying. I agree with this. I think this is a really good statement because if you're not sure what this viewer is referencing, I brought it up on the program yesterday. There was a spokesperson for Trump started talking about how the moderators were biased, and CNN cut them off saying, you can't go after my colleagues. The anchor saying, you can't go after my colleagues. These are journalists or fine journalists. So I think you're going to see very similar in the debate. Whether, as I mentioned, if Biden starts to trail off, you'll see a break to commercial or changing, when he does that look sometimes like he did at Juneteenth celebration, they'll change it over to a different view. I also think because they can cut off his mic, that will happen a lot. And I think even if it doesn't happen in a way, it's going to be annoying no matter what. When you hear that cutting in and out, I do agree that I think they'll just cut him off saying you can't go after our anchors, or that's not like, what's her name? Candy, I'm going to draw a blank, but was it Candy Crawley? Was that her name? Who interrupted Mitt Romney in the middle of the debate to quote unquote fact check him. She was wrong, but fact check him. I think you'll see a lot of that. But we're not going to allow that, Mr. President. We're going to give the time to Biden. We're not going to allow that, Mr. President. We're going to go to commercial break when he gets on a roll. I think you, the viewer, are right, as you normally are. Seeing as how the debate is going to be, this is a different comment. Seeing as how the debate is going to be on late, I'm sure that they're spending most of the week putting him to bed early enough, meaning Biden, to shift his sleep schedule. Otherwise, he may doze off like he's done other times. I think that is a major concern. That is the way we understand it with his schedule past his bedtime. And listen, I don't criticize anybody on their bedtime. I am no one to speak on that because mine is so weirdly early. But having said that, I think a lot of this is not just preparation for the debate, knowing every little thing you're going to say, being prepared for everything, at least potentially being prepared for everything that Trump says, and how to respond it to make it look like it's ad-libbed, or to make it look like it's off the cuff. They're going to be trying all of those things. But they do really have to get into a schedule because Biden isn't as prepared to stay up that late and to be doing that for an hour and a half. He's not giving debates or rallies like Trump does for hours. An hour and a half is, I know there's some breaks and, it's not all his time. But it's just, that's a very good point. Thank you. Trump, this is what I've been saying with the media again. Former Republican National Committee spokesperson Tim Miller suggested that Trump has indicated he is concerned about the debate, pointing to his demands for President Biden to take a drug test ahead of time. I do think that what we can see publicly is that Donald Trump is concerned about how this debate is being framed up as you lead into the debate, Miller said. Now, let me just ask you real quick, just a side note. Former Republican National Committee spokesperson who is giving an interview to MSNBC questioning Trump being ready for the debate or being concerned about the debate. How much faith do you have in Mr. Miller? I don't know. I'm not familiar with him, but that is why he's doing all the weird stuff about Joe Biden being on drugs. It's worth reminding everybody that he tried this exact same playbook in 2020. So as you can see, you have a standard kind of establishment Republican that has to get the, how do they get the media attention? How do they get the most focus if they want to do interviews? You come out and you badmouth the nominee for the party. But he already tried this Joe Biden is on drugs thing. It didn't work then, he added. Trump on Monday called on Biden to take a drug test, as you know. The former president and his allies have frequently attempted to criticize Biden as an old, feeble man who is unfit to serve a second term. They made the drug allegation earlier this year in an attempt to downplay Biden's State of the Union speech, which was generally well received. This is coming from the Hill, so take all this with a grain of salt, and that's why they're quoting an former RNC spokesperson who is being interviewed on MSNBC, bad-mouthing Trump. Got a lot of moving pieces there. Miller then pointed to Trump's claim at a weekend rally that he did not call America's fallen soldiers losers while speaking with the former chief of staff, John Kelly. To me, that also shows he's worried about the debate. He's thinking about what Joe Biden's attacks might be on him, and he's trying to take the air out of the balloon ahead of time. So I think there's a lot of evidence that Trump feels is concerned about the debate. How that manifests in his weird mind, and whether he's prepping or not, I'm not sure. But I think we can see plainly that he's concerned. So do you notice how he uses his title of a former Republican National Committee spokesperson to give himself some credit until you see what he has to say? And it is bad-mouthing the Republican nominee. And that's why he'll still get interviews on MSNBC, and MSNBC will allow him to be, as some have referred to it in the world of politics, useful idiot. Listen, I don't know. I don't think any of us know exactly how Trump is preparing. None of us ever did. But to Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s point, Trump's style is very entertaining. And, you know, I mentioned this yesterday, I think. there's always that story that Jackie Gleason didn't want to rehearse the Honeymooners because it was a live show and he wanted it to feel fresh. He wanted it to be funny. There is something about Trump over preparing and something about Biden over preparing. But I think in Biden's case, it's more necessary because he doesn't have well, you could say that he has a more traditional debate style, more traditional political debate style than Trump. I think that's fair to say. Now, this is the talking point in the media. Oliver Darcy saying right-wing media figures are desperately pushing conspiracy theories about Biden ahead of the debate. Donald Trump allies and right-wing media have a problem ahead of the debate. They've set the bar too low for President Joe Biden. For years, and particularly over the last few months, MAGA media has portrayed Biden as a senile, mentally incapacitated elderly man who cannot remember what he had for breakfast, let alone run the federal government. That might sound like an exaggeration to those who don't tune in to Fox News or listen to talk radio, but has been a real and constant theme in the right-wing media universe. This is another example, kind of like the economy. Never mind what you're seeing with your own eyes. So we've seen the videos. No, you wouldn't see them on CNN, but if you've seen them online, whatever the case, it's not right-wing media. It just takes looking at the president to realize that there are health issues. And it's not just Republicans saying it. There's been many Democrats, and that's why the polls show that Democrats don't want Joe Biden to be the nominee. Okay. To support the narrative, these outlets and personalities have seized on Biden's verbal gaffes while ignoring Trump's and presenting out-of-context video clips to their larger audience, a deceptive but effective strategy that the Biden campaign has struggled to meaningfully rebut. So let's take a look at this. And thank you to Oliver Darcy for being a useful person for the Biden campaign, because Biden's campaign recently said about the cheap fakes and don't show the videos and these aren't right. He's just helping them along with their narrative that these are out of context, which can you imagine the media talking about taking a president out of context with how many times they've did that with President Trump? But again, he's doing exactly what the campaign has asked the media to do. To, I guess, first of all, we're supposed to ignore Biden's verbal gaffes. And then they said, but wow, they ignored Trump's. Do you want to do a test and see who had more? Anybody's going to have a verbal gaffe, but who do you really want to go through who for the last 3.5 years has had more verbal gaffes? But continuing and taking out of context video clips to their larger audience. Enter Thursday's high-stakes political showdown. The debate, which will be one of the most watched moments in the presidential cycle, will allow audiences from coast to coast the opportunity to watch an unfiltered Biden go head-to-head with Trump for some 90 minutes. While the two will undoubtedly tangle over a host of issues, the stage also will afford Biden a unique opportunity to puncture the narrative he lacks the mental fitness to be commander-in-chief. That's a worry for right-wing media figures, which risk seeing their bogus narrative about Biden being ripped up in real time. As right-wing personality Megyn Kelly even put it Monday, Biden will come out great if he manages to simply not die during the face-off with Trump. The stakes could not be lower for a Joe Biden performance, Kelly observed, to account for the looming reality in which Biden has no trouble walking on stage without the help of a handler. Some in the right-wing media had suggested Biden required former President Barack Obama's help to complete such a task. So now you've got to ignore what happened at that fundraiser. I understand. Trump's media allies are already searching for excuses, and they're getting noticeably desperate. He talks about the drugs, and it's... Anyway, I do believe the bar's been set low. Don't get me wrong on that. That's why I've said if Biden says something, one sentence, a good, really hard-hitting sentence, that will be the debate performance of his lifetime, coming through when he needed to most. So I do believe there's something there. That's why I'm not of the camp that he's going to get destroyed, or I'm not of the camp that we're going to watch a campaign implode. Just because I know how the media can spin it, like you see here. They are doing the work for the Biden campaign, just like the Biden campaign demanded. All right, we got to take a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox. We'll be right back.
Discover the freshest berries, melons, and more at Wegmans, arriving daily all summer long.
At Roofing and Construction, We're proud to introduce services for Pinnacle Sun Solar Reflective Shingles. Built with innovative technology, these shingles reflect the sun's radiant heat away from the roof, keeping your AC costs down and improving the overall energy efficiency of your home. Pinnacle Sun shingles can keep your home up to 20 degrees cooler and can be installed at a lower price than asphalt shingles. Call or visit our website to get a quote on your new Pinnacle Sun roof. Not satisfied with the gold standard? Get Platinum Roofing for the last roof you'll ever need.
You have to earn the right to be in this show. You got to earn it.
We're going to give it every single ounce that we have.
It's coming down to the wire.
Gone like a shot.
This ain't just a racetrack.
The NHRA Summit Nationals, Sunday at 5 Eastern on Fox.
And we are back, frankly speaking, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Comment from a viewer. The best thing about Biden already having the questions for the debate for his preparation is that Trump has the ability to derail whatever thought is being said about a question. What the Biden team can't plan for is Trump's ability to ad-lib and recite the actual facts pertaining to the questions that will be asked. I think the biased examples won't be able to be hidden. It'll be very comparable to what he went through in the trial. Sit, shut up, and obey what Democrats say or else. Good luck with that. Yeah, the ad-lib will be interesting. It's kind of like, and I don't know if Biden has, listen, maybe he has questions. I mean, Donna Brazile gave the questions to Hillary, so, I mean, there maybe. I don't think that, I think you just know what Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are going to bring up. I mean, I think it's that easy. Abortion, January 6th. So I don't even think you have to have the questions to be prepared. The fly's back. It's a different fly. I don't think you have to do that much preparation to know what's going to be asked. And the thing is, do you remember like the old kind of the cliche in a sitcom or something like that, where a student thinks he stole the answer sheet to the test, and then they changed up the questions, the order of them, and then he can't keep on track. So maybe there's something there. I thought I had the fly. I'm afraid it's gonna. Jeepers. Hold on real quick. I'm gonna try to take care of this. This is not how I want to wrap up my program. I promise you. Okay, I think it's away. In the debate, Trump could be his own worst enemy, according to Rich Lowry. Donald Trump may be a real estate guy, but his ethics in the first presidential debate should be the familiar rule from the medical profession. First, do no harm. Trump was rejected by the voters and is getting a second chance, not after turning over a new leaf, not after disappearing on an image-boosting world tour, not after starting a new charitable organization. Trump has simply remained himself, while Joe Biden has made people yearn for the pre-Biden years. Now remember, Rich Lowry, not a Trump fan. We're just looking at all sides of this. Trump's goal should be to continue to feed the Trump nostalgia that has been the defining feature of the early stages of the race. Warren Harding once said, "I have no trouble with my enemies. I could take care of my enemies in a fight. But my friends, my blanking friends, they're the ones who keep me walking the floor at nights." By that same token, what should worry supporters of Biden and Trump is what they each can do to themselves. If Biden wanders off, is obviously confused, or repeatedly lapses into mumbling incoherence, it would lose him whatever ground he's made up in the race, and perhaps much more. And I don't know if we're going to see, I just don't know if we're going to see that, or at least not in enough. They're not going to allow it to happen too many times. The optics of CNN, they can change the optics through moving the camera, those type of things. I don't know. If Trump, meanwhile, reminds voters of what they dislike about him by November, about him in November of 2020, he risks kicking away the second look he is getting from the American public. Trump doesn't need a knockout blow against Biden, assuming one is even possible this early in a campaign involving the tectonic plates of American politics that don't easily budge based on one single event. A victory by decision or split decision would suit his purposes just fine. Yeah, I think that's a very good point. I think with Biden, he just basically needs to get through the debate. I don't see too many scenarios where it's the knockout blow. Trump is in the rare position of a challenger who doesn't need to take down the incumbent president. People are ready to fire Biden. The question is whether they are ready to hire the other guy. Trump doesn't need to tell voters that Joe Biden is old or the hunter is a drug addict. He doesn't need to insult or interrupt him. He needs to keep himself under control because the most important message he can send the public is about himself. Trump's persona is the biggest reason that he grabbed Republican politics by the throat and hasn't let go since 2015. It's also the reason he's been a precarious electoral bet, narrowly winning in 2016, narrowly losing in 2020, and narrowly leading today. The COVID briefings that Trump used as a free-floating communications platform in 2020 hurt him, and his first debate performance in 2020 hurt him too. The Democrats hope that the public hasn't truly absorbed that Trump is on the cusp of the presidency again. Presumably, people have gotten the memo by now, but they might not be focused on the provocation with which Trump routinely entertains and energizes his most devoted followers at his rallies. And the Republican would be well served by leaving all the rally material off the debate stage. Just wrapping things up here. So it is Biden's interest to make the race about Trump, and it's Trump, the showman's natural instinct, to also make the race about him. For one night, at least, he should play against that type. We got to take our last break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
Celebrate with savings and get up to 35% off during Raymore and Flanigan's 4th of July sale. Explore can't-miss deals on collections for every room, living room, bedroom, dining room, and more. Celebrate in style with delivery in 3 days or less. Mattresses are on sale too. Save hundreds on top mattress brands, or pay your way and get 72-month financing with no interest and get free next-day mattress delivery. Hurry in, these savings end Monday at Raymore and Flanigan.
Attention, if you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
Experience the action, splashing, and excitement of the annual Watkins Glen Cardboard Boat Regatta from the comfort of your home this summer. Enjoy this local tradition and fun family event airing on Big Fox and MyTV on the following dates and times. The Watkins Glen Cardboard Boat Regatta broadcast brought to you by these fine sponsors.
And fly number 2 is down. Yes, we've had a fly issue this morning. 2 flies. One for each hour, frankly speaking. A comment from a viewer. Presidential debates should be treated like the World Series with a best-of-7 format. If a voter couldn't make up their mind by then, they might want to sit this out. I don't know how many of us would want to watch 7. But I think it's a good point. As we wrap things up, I can't believe we're out of time. There is speculation. I don't know if I believe this, but Trump's vice presidential announcement could come as early as this week. He could announce his pick to be who would be his vice presidential running mate as early as this week, possibly ahead of Thursday's debate, according to 4 people familiar with the situation. I don't see the upside to that necessarily, so that means you'd have to do it today or tomorrow. Why before the debate? I mean, first of all, it seems like you want to wait till the nominating process, or the convention, I should say. But maybe if you're not as happy with how the performance went in the debate, you do it after. I don't see the upside in before. Trump has said publicly that he intends to announce his pick shortly before or at the Republican convention next month. But there have been high-level discussions in recent days within the Trump campaign about moving that time frame up and making a splash sooner. Of course, this is from NBC News and is also based on anonymous sources, so keep that in mind. Trump campaign senior advisor Chris LaCivita tweeted, yes, it could come as soon as today or sometime in mid-July. And that's a great example of the media. Could come as early as this week or when Trump said it was going to. But that makes a headline, doesn't it? Interesting piece at the New York Post, if you have an opportunity. Joe and Jill Biden refinanced their Delaware home 20 times, raking in $4.2 million from the $350,000 property. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden treated their various Delaware real estate holdings like a personal ATM for years, taking out several mortgages and refinancing a whopping 35 times, according to a new report. The couple said to boast a net worth of $10 million, allegedly borrowed $6 million on the properties over the decades. The wheeling and dealing dates back to the late 70s, shortly after Joe and Jill were married. The pair have negotiated new mortgages or credit deals approximately every 17 months. This is coming from the Daily Mail. The frequent refinancing has raised eyebrows. It doesn't make a lot of sense unless they were desperate for cash, said one financial expert. The revelations add a layer of intrigue as the president faces scrutiny over his family's financial past. And just kind of an interesting piece there from the Post. Also, if you get a chance, because we are out of time, Spies Who Lie leader, co-signers of that 51, the 51 Spies Who Lie that were defending Hunter Biden by saying that the laptop was Russian disinformation. Were all CIA, or some were CIA contractors when they falsely implied Hunter Biden laptop was Russian fake. Interesting piece as well. Julian Assange is not a hero, but a self-righteous lowlife, lucky to be set free. We are out of time for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thank you to everybody who joined us. I feel like we covered so much on the program. Don't forget that Assemblyman Phil Palmisano will be our guest tomorrow at 7. You will not want to miss that. Get your questions in ahead of time, or you can reach out live during the interview, and I'll do my best to get those questions to the Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, in the 7 o'clock hour tomorrow here on Frankly Speaking. Please join us every weekday morning for Frankly Speaking, starting at 6 a.m. only on WYDC TV. Big Fox tomorrow will have more debate talk and the Assemblyman. So do not miss it. I look forward to it already. We'll see you tomorrow.
I'm Marianne Crawford. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me, to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, please listen closely. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. It's a rate lock for your life insurance that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time